Hey, Polly.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's April.
It is when we're experiencing some April showers.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hopefully, those Mayflowers are coming with a whole lot of sunshine.
And some deep roots because it's windy out there.
That's right. That's right. The cars are rocking as they're driving, especially over that bridge. But I won't talk about bridges because hey, we need our bridges. And also, speaking of bridges, we're bridging the gap today with April being Alcohol Awareness Month.
Yes, or alcohol responsibility month.
Alcohol responsibility. You know what? You are right.
Depends on who you talk to.
And today we are talking to Erin Hildreth, the Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for Advancing Alcohol Responsibility, also known as responsibility.org.
You need a drink of water?
I might need a drink of water after that. That is quite the title, but with that title comes much responsibility, I bet.
I bet.
I
Yes.
bet.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear all about it.
Yep. I'm excited. Sounds like they overlap with a lot of stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, today, joining us on Totally Preventable, we have Erin Hildreth, the Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for Advancing Alcohol Responsibility, also known as responsibility.org. Erin, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. For me, it's a Friday, so it's always a good day.
All right, all right. And to get started like we normally do, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Sure, it's a long journey, but I'll give you the short version. I'm based in Washington D.C. and I've lived here since college. I've always worked in the nonprofit space, and responsibility.org is indeed a not-for-profit. I started working specifically with the Ask, Listen, Learn underage drinking prevention program, just the manager of that program and the manager of kind of all things underage drinking prevention within the organization. I'm sure I'll mention Ask, Listen, Learn throughout my time here. It's so near and dear to my heart, even though I've graduated just a little bit from the Ask, Listen, Learn days. Um, and I will say, as a parent myself, my kids right now are 12 and 14. My kids have grown up with the Ask, Listen, Learn program, and now they're starting to graduate as well. So perhaps that's more about why I stay than why I'm here. But as my time at responsibility.org has grown and lengthened, my role has also grown and become a little bit stronger. So now I work for the communications and lead the communications for all underage drinking prevention initiatives, drunk and impaired driving initiatives, and also initiatives to help adults of legal drinking age, if they do choose to drink, to do so responsibly.
Yeah,
That's quite the journey.
it is quite the journey and has a lot of overlap with us too.
Yeah. A lot of prevention in there.
So could you tell us a little more about responsibility.org and their mission?
Of course. So responsibility.org has been around since 1991. We have been working toward three main missions. First is to eliminate underage drinking. The second is to lead the fight to eliminate drunk driving and work with others to eliminate all forms of impaired driving. And then the last one I kind of touched upon, but it's to empower adults of legal drinking age who do choose to drink to do so responsibly. And for the last 30 years, along with so many others, so much progress has been made on these three missions, and we're so proud of that. We have not done it alone because, as we say, we all have a seat at the table of responsibility.
Now, what would you say is the state of underage drinking currently?
It's a great question because so much progress is being made, and I think it's something that people need to know. And I appreciate the question because we can say the state of underage drinking is great because underage drinking levels are down. But that it sounds kind of crazy because also the state of underage drinking is something we don't even want to talk about because ultimately we want to eliminate it. So in general, I want to make sure that people who are listening understand that underage drinking is at record low levels. The work that we all are doing in this prevention space, it's working. More kids are saying no to underage drinking than ever before. So I'll give you some statistics just so you can have them, but more than 6 out of 10 teens report that they have never consumed alcohol. And that's amazing. A lot of people don't believe it just because the things that we see on TV, the things that we see on social media, they really make it seem like everybody's doing it. And the more we remind kids that not everybody's doing it, that may actually empower them to be like, well, then me neither. I mean, peer pressure works in both ways, right?
Yeah.
But that underage drinking decrease is actually, it's a 55% decrease proportionally from 1991 since the advent of responsibility.org. And we don't take the full credit, absolutely not. But we like to think that we played a big part in it.
That's great.
I would have never thought, 40% of kids are, but 60% are not.
Or not.
You don't see
Yeah.
a lot of that advertised.
That's something we talk about a lot, is like promoting the positive norms. And I think we all sort of forget that because we're all working on the not so positive, right? And we forget to promote the positive.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
perception.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way we say it sometimes is when a plane lands safely, you don't get a news story about it. So we're, sometimes we're the plane landing safely, and we are, we're preventing kids from making one bad decision that can lead to so many other bad decisions. So we're proud of that, even if it remains a little bit swept under the rug.
Yeah.
I like that plane landing analogy.
Yeah. Do you remember when people always used to clap when the plane landed?
Yes. We tried to start that.
Right.
We had to.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Once in a while, the plane will do it, but not anymore.
It's like at the end of a movie, right? When people used to go to the movie theater. At the end
Yes.
hooray.
Could you tell us some examples of perceived risks that responsibility.org would like to draw more attention to?
Sure. So I think I'll say three main things. The first one might not be a perceived risk, but it's just the obvious thing. Underage drinking is illegal. So whether you're a kid and you are offered alcohol, it's illegal. If you are an adult and you are supplying alcohol to kids, especially kids not your own kids, it's illegal. So it's just a good reminder, because sometimes you just need to go back to that foundation of the legal drinking age and the rules associated with it. But second, some things that we don't think about all the time as parents, maybe educators don't think about it all the time, is brain development. So it's really important for kids to know, and for parents to know too, that underage drinking affects the developing brain. That's really where our Ask, Listen, Learn underage drinking prevention program comes in, because it addresses what the brain does, what alcohol does to it, and what that does to kids. And so it really meets kids where they are. They're at this time in middle school, 5th and 6th grade, where they're learning about their bodies, they're learning about their brains. All of that is changing very, very quickly. There are lots of questions involved. And so why not add this to that conversation? Your brain does this, it does everything, right? And when you introduce alcohol to that, when you make the unfortunate choice of putting alcohol in your body, this is how your brain reacts, whether it is slurred speech, affecting your memory, affecting your coordination, and just bringing it back to science as opposed to a threat or a, this is going to happen to you. Bringing it back to answer the why. Why can't I drink? It's an answer that is scientifically proven, it's scientifically backed, and it's, quite frankly, for anybody who feels like it's a difficult decision or a conversation, to have with their kids, this one's based in fact. So give them the facts, because kids are smart. They ask good questions, and so hopefully we should have good answers. And then the very last one is just safety. We want our kids to be safe. Parents want kids to be safe. Teachers, administrators, even kids. I mean, kids are natural risk takers, right? For better or for worse. That's how their brains work when they're young. And that's okay. But they also value that feeling of safety. And so underage drinking is just not a safe choice.
Wow. I often thought that the what's the word I'm looking for? The effects that it has on the brain. I often thought that there should be age appropriate information given from children to adults at what actually happens, but not in scientific terms, like just real life terms or examples.
Mhm.
I feel like we don't have enough of that, as much as I see, this was your brain on drugs, that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
just something more like, oh, this has this effect. I think a lot of people don't understand that the brain still develops. I
Mhm.
think people just think, oh, you just learn throughout life, but I don't think people really know that the brain still develops. My thoughts. I could be completely wrong in this. My perception again could be completely wrong. But that's neither here nor there. It's just me on my pedestal for a slight moment. Could you elaborate on any innovative programs or initiatives responsibility.org has developed specifically targeting college students or to promote responsible drinking habits?
Sure. So just for clarity, the Ask, Listen, Learn underage drinking program that I mentioned before is mainly for middle schoolers.
Okay.
So that one it has animation based, it has great lessons. It's asklistenlearn.org. It's free if anyone wants to try it out. When we get to that college space, of course, there's a challenge there because some kids are of legal drinking age, and everyone is experiencing something new, whether they go away for college, whether they are commuters, or whether they decide not to go to college and instead start a career or start a job or just take a break. One thing that we have developed is a program called Alcohol 101 Plus. That is a program that it is for colleges and universities to administer to their students to give them education, again, about how alcohol affects their brains. It affects their decision. It shows them how alcohol affects their blood alcohol content. It teaches them about decision making, and it really just helps them be better decision makers. And oftentimes we love to see that used as part of an orientation process. Sometimes it is used as an intervention, a tool for college students. But it is really important. It's really well done. And that again is another free resource from responsibility.org. And it goes hand in hand because we really don't have something like that parents can give to their kids. Like, here you go, before you go to college, here you go. But we like to use the term parents, you're not done yet, for really encouraging conversations that go above and beyond just, please don't drink alcohol. It just goes into those little reminders, like checking in with your kid regularly, whether it's Sundays, Fridays, or whatever, just making sure that you have that touch point. But there's a whole kind of list of tools that parents can, just little reminders of checking in, because it is a big time. It's a change. Some statistics say that first 6 weeks of a college student's adventure on campus, those are the most dangerous 6 weeks, because it's when you have this freedom, you meet new people who have been exposed to new things. You yourself are exposed to new things as a new college student, and so those first 6 weeks kind of set the tone, and that's where a lot of risk lies.
Never thought about that. Can I ask
Yeah,
a question?
yeah.
An off the cuff question. You mentioned Ask, Listen, Learn. Now, Alcohol 101. And in my research, I've also heard about a program, We Don't Serve. Am I correct? Or
Yes.
can you tell
Right.
us a little bit more about your programs?
Yep, and that one is a campaign. It's called We Don't Serve Teens. We Don't Serve Teens.org. And that is a program, and I really should say that is a campaign that was started in 2006. It was started by the FTC with responsibility.org. It has recently been relaunched. It is for the community. It is for a family. It's for a retailer. It's for an alcohol manufacturer or wholesaler. And what it is it just says, we will not justify underage drinking. There is no excuse for it. We will not serve, supply, or sell alcohol to anyone below the legal drinking age. It's irresponsible. It's illegal, as we've mentioned before, and it's unsafe. So the We Don't Serve Teens program, it really is just a blanket to cover everyone and to remind them that we should not be serving, selling, or supplying at any level of the lifetime experience to anyone who is below the legal drinking age.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about how responsibility.org addresses underlying societal issues, peer pressure and stress and accessibility? I'd like to also add parents in there, because sometimes I think parents are a little bit of their own kind of peer pressure, when they're drinking all the time, or, oh, I need my glass of wine because I've had so much stress today, or, you kids are driving me so crazy, I need a drink, those kind of things I think are big issues.
100%. And I mean, actually, when the question is still about kids, I was still going to bring in adults because words matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of these factors, peer pressure, stress, anxiety, they're factors for everyone. They're not just factors for kids, and they're definitely not just factors for adults, because even though peer pressure sounds like something that kids go through, adults, we feel it too. We might name it something differently, but we're influenced by our peers, and we definitely have stress.
No.
So the number one thing is conversations. As an adult, having conversations with the kids in your life, whether you choose to drink or not drink, it's actually, if you have a drink, a cocktail, a glass of wine, a beer in your hand, and your kid says, "Can I have a sip of that?" First of all, I mean, you need to know what you're going to say. And it's a great time to have a conversation about, this drink is an alcohol drink, and no, alcohol is not for kids. But you can have a soda, or you can have a lemonade, or I can get you some more water. Just a little conversation like that. It's not hard for me to say that, because what I have is an alcohol beverage. And no, you cannot have it. But those conversations are so important. And just a little piece of honesty for anybody who's not feeling comfortable talking with their kids about alcohol. I mean, I would encourage everyone to examine their own relationship with alcohol, and to be prepared, because kids ask a lot of questions, and also modeling responsibility. So if you feel stress and you say to yourself, "I'm going to have a glass of wine," or "I'm going to pour myself a cocktail, I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to enjoy it," that's actually modeling some good, responsible behavior. But if you say, "You kids are driving me to drink," kids are listening, and that is what they hear. And if they see you responding to your stress or your anger or your anxiety with alcohol, then in their mind, they've made a connection. Oh, so the next time I'm stressed, I know exactly what to do. But if you model that responsibility of saying, "Oh, I'm so stressed out right now, I'm going to take a deep breath, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to walk away for just a minute, I'm going to gather myself," that's modeling a good stress behavior. And then when it's time to sit down, and my favorite thing is when I make dinner, I love to have a cocktail and just enjoy the process. It's modeling responsible behavior. So it can really go in so many different ways. And then some of the other factors are signage. And we'll get back to the We Don't Serve Teens program. In our research, the number one deterrent of underage drinking, whether that is a teen going to try and purchase, or a stranger going to purchase for a teen, or a family member going to purchase for one of their kids, is point of purchase information right there that says, "We will not serve teens. We will not participate in underage drinking." When people see that deterrent, it is such a good reminder of, that is the wrong thing to do. So I think that that's something that maybe people don't think about, is a factor is what you see, right? So that's one of the real reasons that We Don't Serve Teens is not just a campaign for everyone, but an important campaign.
Do you think that those POS deterrents, do you think that is a major deterrent? I know it can't stop everything, but do you think it does have effect?
It certainly does. And some of the things that we've heard, I mean, I don't have the numbers connected to this one, to be very honest with you, but is when people go and do their checks on things, like in Virginia, we have ABC stores, and they fail the check, like they don't check an ID, or they have been caught serving, or selling to underage. One way that they kind of ding them is to encourage them to put those signs up around their store. And if just that one glance down and someone says, oh, they don't do that here, if that's the deterrent that we need, then that's what we'll do. Every little bit helps, honestly, because if we can start a trend of not serving, not selling, not supplying, we'll see those low numbers that we're so proud of go down still.
Okay. And can you provide examples of successful community-based interventions or programs that responsibility.org has implemented to like reduce the instances of underage drinking or drunk driving?
Yeah, so I'll stick with underage drinking for now, but I mean, we don't serve teens is definitely one, and we've already touched on that one. But
Mhm.
another thing that we do internally is we work with social media influencers, and these are the old school mommy bloggers. So they're parents, they're moms and dads. We love to grab people from all over the country, people with huge followings, with smaller followings. Um, and we educate them about alcohol responsibility. We educate them about the importance of talking to their kids about alcohol to prevent underage drinking. We work with them on some tips and tricks of what they can tell, like how they can practice with their kids to say no. And then they find their own ways that work for them, and they are able to then go out to social media and share those with their communities.
Mm.
So our influencer program, it's so fun and it's so empowering and delightful to see these parents come up with new ways to start conversations with their kids, new ways to model alcohol responsibility. And like we said before, when someone says, "Ooh, mommy juice," to just remind people that it's not it's not mommy juice. It's cocktail, it's wine. Um, to remind them that there are better ways to
Mhm.
say that, or maybe to rethink the way they've said things in the past. We're not going to shame you. Everybody's said that. Everybody's giggled when they've heard it, but
Mhm.
there's just a better way to do it. And so the onus is on us to pass out that education. And then we're just so thankful for these influencers for just passing it on and passing it on. And as we know, social media, it can be used for good. And I do think this is one of those ways.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then finally, we work with, and this is where we get into drunk driving prevention. We work with state attorneys general through across the United States. This month for Alcohol Responsibility Month, which is April, we are working with 14 AGs, as we call them, attorneys general, to talk to kids to prevent underage drinking using Ask, Listen, Learn. But then in December, we work with attorneys general again to prevent drunk and impaired driving because December is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month.
Hmm.
So we have them help spread that message about the holidays are coming up. It's a time where a lot of festivity is going on and a lot of choices need to be made. And one of those choices is to never drive drunk or impaired.
Oh,
Mhm.
did not know that program.
No, no. We just had one of our local coalitions here had a meeting and the police were present and the officer was telling us how she speaks to the kids about getting a ride home. Like, of course we would prefer that you don't drink it at all, but if you do, getting a plan together that you have someone, older brother, neighbor, someone that will come and pick you up, no questions asked. But then she said, and you can always call us. And
Mm.
she's like, I'm sure your parents would rather see someone else drive in the driveway with you than us, but we will come and pick you up and bring you home. So that
Yeah.
was
Yeah. I mean, that goes back to that safety that we talked about. I was just having a conversation with my daughter yesterday about something completely different. It was actually about internet safety.
mhm,
And I told her that if you make one bad decision, make sure that your next decision is the safe one. And
Mm.
that is calling me. And it doesn't matter what's happening, we will come and get you. Your safety is our number one priority.
mhm,
Right.
And in the drunk driving space, what we say, I mean, and this is true, I mean, and talk about totally preventable.
mhm,
When you impaired driving crashes, drunk driving crashes are totally preventable.
mhm,
There is such thing as a car accident, but if someone decides to get behind the wheel, that is a decision.
Mm.
That's not an accident. That is a crash, and that kills people. And I don't want to drive on the road with a drunk driver. I don't want you all to. I don't want anybody to. I mean, they're preventable.
Mhm.
So when we can encourage kids to make the one safe choice of not getting into the car of someone who's been drinking, if we can make them brave enough to stop someone who has been drinking from driving, I mean, that's next level. But we're working towards it. And kids, like we said before, kids make good decisions. They do make bad decisions, but they make good decisions too. They're smart. We'll get there. I know we will.
I feel like driving drunk has really in youth, and I don't have any statistics to back this up besides talking to my own kids, their friends, other kids, that driving drunk has decreased in young people, that they see the other options and the other ways around it than when I was younger. Like, we didn't have Ubers, we didn't have another plan. Our parents probably did it and didn't think it was that big of a deal. After talking to some young people about it, it feels like, why would I get behind the wheel? There's Uber. I'm not saying that nobody does it, but it feels like it has decreased a lot, and that there's been a lot of information out there for them. So
Yeah, and I can actually give you a number.
oh, good.
It's good. I will tell you this, the number I'm about to give you, it's from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It might be a tiny bit out of date, but it's pretty close. Like, we're there. It's less than a year old. But among people under 21, drunk driving fatalities, and so I can't tell you about instances, but I can tell you about fatalities, have decreased 55% since
Wow.
1990.
Wow. Yep.
So again, touting some good news, but
Yeah.
just reminding us that, I mean, any one fatality is one too many.
Mhm.
But I do think that you're right, that kids do make good decisions. And they make bad decisions, and I'll keep repeating that because there's both. But there are so many advances, right? There are so many, like we just said, ride share, calling a cab, having close relationships with parents,
Mhm.
having a trusted adult, having less ego to call someone for help or admit that they need help. I think that those are things that are positives that we perhaps didn't have when we were younger,
Mhm.
and we're more prone to take risks and make bad choices.
Can you tell us the ways that you measure the effectiveness, the effectiveness of your programs and interventions, and maybe some milestones and achievements that you can share?
Sure. So we talked about some of the statistics,
Mhm.
and although we don't create those statistics, I mean, those come from the government. They are used worldwide, or I guess nationally, since they're national statistics. So we do follow those measures, and those mean a lot to us. So we know that what we're doing is making a difference. We do have our programs evaluated on a pretty regular basis. So when I talk about Ask, Listen, Learn, that has been independently evaluated. Our Alcohol 101 Plus program has been evaluated. In 2020, we released a cannabis module as part of Ask, Listen, Learn. So we know that kids don't grow up in a vacuum. We don't get peer pressure to drink on one day and then to engage with drugs the next day. It all happens, in a one big jumble. And what we hear from educators is, we want information about cannabis. Do you have any? And we did not. So we created that. We launched it in September of 2020. Busy time for the world. But we're having that one also independently evaluated, just to make sure that everything is up to date. In the creation process of all of our programs, we work with experts in the field to make sure that the information we have is relevant. We make sure it's delivered in a way that kids want, that these native computer users, I mean, kids in college now, they've been using computers forever. So why not give them a computer program? Or I'm probably saying, I'm aging myself by calling it a computer program, a digital platform to learn. So we do that. And just the longevity of some of our programs. Ask, Listen, Learn just celebrated 20 years of prevention education. We reach more than 1 million students per year. We have some great partnerships with people like Discovery Education, Classroom Champions, American School Counseling Association. We're really proud of all of this work that we do. And even if we have a social media campaign and we see it kind of falling flat, we'll switch it, we'll change it, we'll tweak it. I mean, we won't just dump it. But if something's not working, we'll edit it. We really do take very good care to make sure that what we have out there works for people. I think I said it before, but I'll say it again. We don't want to be preaching to anyone. We want to be educating them and empowering them with all the information that they need so that they can make the decisions for themselves and help their kids or the youth in their lives make the decisions too.
Wow, that's great. So we have Ask, Listen, Learn. We have We Don't Serve Teens. We have Alcohol 101 Plus.
Yeah.
We have the other program. No, we have cannabis attached to Ask, Listen, Learn. We have the AG program. We have a lot of things going on at responsibility.org. A lot of programming that you mentioned was all free.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm knowing that people are chomping at the bits to find out, how do I get these resources? How do I get in contact? How do I connect? What's the best way for our listeners and viewers to get in contact or to get more information?
The first step is to go to responsibility.org. It's hard to spell. It's an easy lifestyle to live once you figure out how to do it and feel empowered to do it. April is Alcohol Responsibility Month. So if you go to responsibility.org, you'll find out all kinds of information about why we value this month so much and why we use this month to amplify all of our programs, although we do that throughout the year. You can find us on social media, and I think responsibility.org has great social media. We try to, again, keep it fun and light, but really educational and touch on the important things. And Ask, Listen, Learn also has its own social media accounts that are pretty easy to find. So at Ask, Listen, Learn, at responsibility.org, you can find us there. And we love to engage with everyone. You can find my information on the responsibility.org website. And we look forward to making a lot more connections. So thank you guys so much for having us on your podcast.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right. You can enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.